It was 1985. The spring of 1985. I was 19 years old. Senior in high school. On a Wednesday. A fateful Wednesday. Started by going to school. I had a split day at high school. Half the day I was at vocational school. The second half of the day I was at the regular high school building. Had a few classes. And on Wednesdays, my closest friend, Lenny, and I, we would drink alcohol at our vocational school. So we started the day by meeting at the high school, and then we rode in his car to a vocational school, auto mechanics it was. If it wasn't for auto mechanics, I wouldn't have graduated from high school. So we were drinking at school, and then there came the time where we would drive our cars we had the option to drive or take a bus from the high school to the vocational school, and we would always take our own cars. And this particular day, we rode in his car, a 1975 black Chevy Monte Carlo, looking real good car, real nice, beautiful car. And when we were done at vocational school, instead of going back to high school for our classes, we decided to goof off. Having been drinking alcohol, our reasoning was not what it should have been, and we began to challenge each other to do something very stupid and illegal. And what we came up with is stealing things from Kmart, or back then there was a store called Ames. And I believe we stopped at a Ames, or maybe it was I think we stopped at a Kmart first. We went to a Kmart. We went in, we were joking about who could steal the biggest, I don't even remember now, but it was electronic equipment. And we both walked in and we walked out with I think it might, I honestly don't remember. Probably boom boxes or car stereos. Yes, boom boxes were involved this day, and car stereos, radar detectors, and oddly enough, a muffler. But funny as that may sound, two high school kids walked into a Kmart and we walked out with the products right underneath our arms without paying, and walked right to his car, got in and drove away. We looked like we knew what we were doing, so nobody stopped us. So we went down the road and went to another store. I think that was the Ames. We went to the Ames store, and we did the same thing. And we thought it was funny. We thought that was so funny. It was so easy. So believe it or not, we went back to that first store. And if this doesn't sound true, then you're not going to believe the end of this. So we went back to the first store and we stole more items. Again, got back into the car, drove away. Nobody stopped us. Didn't pay. So now we have a few $100, maybe $300 worth of product. And it was time to go back to school. The last period of school was coming around and we should go to it. So he drove both of us to the high school. And I decided, you know what, it's so late. I don't like the last period anyway. I'm just gonna go home. It's kind of cold out here, so I'm going to put this on for a few minutes. So, at the high school, I put the items that I had taken for myself, stolen, put them from Lenny's car into my car, a 1970, what was that thing? Le Mans. Custom paint Le Mans. Gas sucker. Put my items into my Le Mans, and we started driving. I was going to go home, and he was going to go home. Lenny actually lived in a different school district. His family had moved, but he wanted to finish up in this school that he had been going to. So he was heading towards his town. I was heading towards my town. And it came up to a traffic light right outside the school. Lenny's in front of me, and foolishly, I get out of my car. I walk up to Lenny's car at the traffic light, and I say, "Hey, Lenny, isn't there a Kmart in your town?" He's like, "Yeah." "So why don't we go there, see what we can get?" "Okay, if that's what you want to do." Talk about stupid. So we drive, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 miles from there to his town, to the Kmart. We both pull our cars up to the Kmart. We both walk into the Kmart. We both went to, now we're bold now. We both went to the electronics department. We both wanted radar detectors. And we both picked out radar detectors. They had to open the glass case. We both took the radar detectors, and Lenny, at that place, I do believe he grabbed a muffler. A muffler, of all things. So we walk out of that store, get in our cars, and we had decided that we would get in our cars and go across the street to this other big shopping center, and then we would talk. So we left that third store, which was our fourth robbery of the day. We left there and went across the street to this other shopping center, and there we parked our cars side by side. And I got out of my car and stepped into his, and we were laughing. We thought it was the funniest thing. Until, as we were sitting there opening our boxes and figuring out how we were going to hook up these radar detectors, car stereos, as we were sitting there, a car pulled up and stopped in front of us. And out of this car jumped 2 men in plain clothes. One of them looks oddly familiar. And they yelled at us as Lenny started the car. He said, "There's no sense running, we've got your license plate number." And Lenny and I realized that the one man that we recognized was the man who opened the case at the radar detector the enclosement. So we were caught. Kind of. Lenny was scared. He's like, "Oh." See, he starts swearing. He's like, "Oh, crap. Oh, crap. You go to jail for these things. You go to jail for this." He goes, "Should I run? Should I go? Should I go?" He's swearing. And I'm like, "Yeah, go." Which is real smart because we're both in his car. And my car is sitting right next to us, with all these styrofoam boxes open, stereo equipment. So Lenny, when he backs up, there was only one person that was dumber than both of us that day. And it was that plainclothes security guard that was with the guy who opened the case. The plainclothes security guard, when Lenny backed up his 1975 Monte Carlo, the security guard decided to jump on the hood of the car. Like Starsky and Hutch, if you old enough to see Starsky and Hutch. Jumps on the hood of the car, hanging on with both hands. And Lenny starts driving with the security guard on the hood of the car. Swerving. back and forth, 20, 30 miles an hour in the parking lot, until the security guard fell off the hood of the car. So we drove about a half mile away. All the while I'm screaming, my car is back there, my car. So Lenny stops when we get out of eyesight, lets me out, and I run all the way around through the shopping center. I run around the perimeter of it because my plan is to approach my car from the opposite direction of where we went, so that they wouldn't think that I was with the person in that black car. Lenny took off, and there's more to the story about him, but I'll leave that for another day, perhaps. But I run all the way around this whole shopping center. Finally, I approach my car from an opposite direction. It hadn't been 5 minutes since we had departed in the Monte Carlo. And when I walked up to the car, the two men were there still. And I went to I tried to ignore them, and I walked right up to my car, tried to open the door, and they said, I don't know who you are or what you think you're doing, but you're not going anywhere. Your two buddies left in the Monte Carlo, and the cops are on their way. And I could hear the sheriffs coming. So I thought, they don't realize I was in that Monte Carlo. And the cops are coming. I should try to push these guys out of the way and jump in my car and leave. And as I was trying to make the decision, the sheriffs arrived in the parking lot, and I was caught. Arrested, questioned, interrogated, which is a whole other story about how police handle situations like that. But I won't get into that. Long story short, I was facing 15 years. The two felonies they were going to charge me with were grand larceny and assault. Grand larceny for stealing something more than $250 of worth, and assault for the security guard that fell off the hood of the car that I was riding in. Thankfully, it all worked out. And I was given the equivalent of 1 year of probation because of my situation at that time. And again, that's another story. But I wanted to share with you the stupidity of a 19-year-old for a reason. One, I wanted it documented somewhere about the first time I got arrested. And two, I wanted to share it with you guys because I don't make decisions like that anymore. I don't allow the people that I hang out with or my current state of affairs in my life. It was shortly after my father had passed. Lenny's father actually passed as well. We had a lot in common. And the way that we handled our problems and our sorrows wasn't good. We didn't handle it in a good way. We made a lot of stupid decisions that day. I made a lot of stupid decisions in my life at that time. 19 years old. And the moral is of this fun story of the first time the BTWN guy got arrested is I'm old now. I'm older. I'm wiser. I don't make decisions the way I used to. It's what mature people do. I learn from my mistakes and I move on. And I'm sure there are some people who will watch this who haven't realized that they're handling their difficult situations in a bad way, making poor choices, hanging around people that will lead you into stupid situations where you will make wrong, perhaps illegal decisions and get in trouble. And perhaps you won't be as lucky as I, or providentially lucky. Providentially, you won't benefit from the providence that God has set forth like I did, because I don't believe in luck. As we grow older, gain wisdom from the scriptures, from wise people in your life. Hang around people who perhaps don't necessarily think like you do. Hang around people who are a little bit more mature than you are. Hang with those guys. Learn from those guys. Watch those guys. The scriptures even say that the concept is, even in scripture, that when I was young, I acted like a young person. But now I'm older, and now I'm wiser, and I make wise decisions. So, that's the moral. Vlog number 3, recorded on February 2, right before the Super Bowl, because I think I want to get a day ahead so that I can have an evening to edit. I think that's what I want to do. So you'll be watching the videos 12 hours after, 18 hours after I record them, because I want to publish them the first thing in the morning. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Hit the bell button, and maybe someday I'll tell you about the second time I was arrested. And hopefully I'll never have a third time to tell you about, because it hasn't happened yet. All right, everybody. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.